Okay, so let's look at leverage, Lex Monetae, and Libor. Okay, so leverage is using other people's money, or OPM, to make money for yourself, such as a mortgage to rent out a property. So, for example, I will borrow. Let's say I can borrow, let's say £1,000,000 at, say, 3% interest. Okay, I can use that money to invest in something else and get, say, 5% interest, or 50, or 100, all sorts of numbers, all kinds of returns. Depends where you go. Depends where you go and what your risk is. Now, so let's say you borrow at 3%, but you are making 5%. So you then pocket the 2% difference. Makes sense. I'm using £1,000,000 here, leverage other people's money. I'm investing at 5%. I give 3% back to the creditor as the interest, and the capital, £1,000,000 plus the 3%. And the 2% I make here is mine. It's all mine. And I couldn't have made that 2% unless I had borrowed from him. How cool is that? Now you could say, why don't they just do this? It depends what their strategy is. It depends what their risk tolerance is. If they want to lend to creditworthy people, and I'm willing and able to take that higher risk, then they're happy to do it. They're happy that I'm paying off the 2% or the 3%, and I'm happy to get 5%. Very good. Yeah, how cool is that? Using other people's money to make more money for yourself, like a mortgage on a property. How cool is that? Now, Lex Monetae, the legal principle by which a country chooses the denomination of its own debts. So it's a Latin word which talks about how a country will measure its debts in US dollar, for example, US dollar, or in its own currency. Makes sense? Yeah. And Libor is the London Interbank Offered Rates. London Interbank Offered Rates. It was a very important interest rate that other banks use when lending to each other. So when banks wanted to lend money to each other, the Libor rate is how much they charged each other. It was. I'm not sure what it's replaced by now. I think something more international. I think something with IMF. Not too sure exactly. Not too sure. But it was on its way out. And it's the amount of money the banks charge each other. So you could have, say, the overnight Libor. So a bank could borrow £1,000,000 for one night at 1%, for example. They want that money, clear off some debts, for example, and in the morning they know they're going to get the money back from the depositors or their debtors, the loans they have. They can pay it back plus the 1%. Makes sense. How cool is that? Yeah. Let's keep going, language explorers. Let's keep exploring.